Most people think I'm from the Trenton area, but I'm not. I'm from New Brunswick, born and raised, and my childhood was fair. I had a good time. I can't say like yes. Most commonly, things do happen that are beyond your control when you're a kid. Um, so my mother and my biological father, they didn't really get along. So that's like y'all was in so much love. How did it go to such hate for a person, like deep down forever hate? So for them, their relationship just didn't. The chemistry was off. They both had two different views of what they thought the relationship was going to be like. And then the baby came. So that kind of just intensified, and then they wound up separating. So, but other than, their relationship, like I pretty much, I could say I had all my needs were met. My mom had a relationship with my stepfather, and then my biological father had a relationship with another woman. So he was married. My mother was not at the time. So it was just a matter of them really just trying to figure out how they were going to co-parent, and then the co-parenting wasn't really co-parenting as well as it should be. But having grandparents and aunts kind of made some headway so that we both could have everybody could have a happy medium. So I spent time with my biological grandmother. I spent time with my aunts and uncles on my father's side, which was cool, and as well as on my mother's side. It's just that the co-parenting theme. It's like, oh, I can't stand him. They better not be doing X, Y, Z, and it's like I'm 10. I don't know about all the extra stuff. I'm really going over here because I want to play. And having, um, I think my biological father got married when I want to say maybe like 14, maybe. And I was like heartbroken because they didn't invite me to the wedding. And I was like, that sucks. Like I understood it because the two women didn't get along. So that would kind of be awkward to have the person's child that you don't get along with at the wedding, although I'm still going to see you. So I was like, okay. But then I get to meet my stepbrother. My stepbrother's name is Sean. Sean is older than I, but I think I like kind of like slowly tortured him. Like in the beginning, we tortured one another, and then it was like after a while, we're gonna be together, so let's see how we can make this work. Like, what do you like? Trying to find out what interests that we had together. So the interest that he found that he liked about me was that I just kind of speak my mind. I wasn't scared of anybody, and I found out like in his high school years, he was a junior. No, he was a sophomore in high school, and I was still in. I think I was finishing up elementary school, getting ready to go to high school. Because in New Brunswick, we had elementary school and high school. We didn't have like middle school, like elementary school, middle school, high school. We don't have that. And you go elementary school, K through 8, and then when 8's finished, you go to the high school, 9 through 12, and then you're done. So I found out that my stepbrother was being bullied. And I was like, the only bully you're going to have is me. So if I came in, like, I would come early summer, like right before the school year would be out. So my biological father would pick me up, and he'd be like, where are you going? I'm going to the bus stop to go get Sean. And like, I could see like the relief on my stepbrother's face to know that when I came for the weekend or however long I was staying, there wasn't going to be no bullying on my watch. So I think like I think by that time he was a junior, and it was right before the summer. I didn't know the kids that I had threatened and had chased, had fought with. I had no idea that they were related to my stepfather until there was like a family gathering, like cookout type thing, and I came. Yeah, it was very awkward because they was like, "Oh my God, that's that girl," and I know what they talking about, but my mother and like my stepdad, he didn't know what they were talking about. My mom was like, "You know those kids?" And I was like, "Sorta, kinda, like I seen them before." And she was like, "Well, they're all saying that you was fighting them and like you beat a couple of them up," and I was like, "No, there's no such thing. I don't even live down here." But they was like, nope, nope, that's her. That's her. And then, this is before cell phones. So if they said it was me, then it had to be me. So my mom was like, tell me what's going on. So I had to explain to her. I was like, look, they're bullying him like every day. And I was like, I just kind of felt bad for him. And I was like, and I know when I came, there's no bullying on my watch because we're not doing that. We're not jumping nobody, but there's no bullying. And, either trying to figure out what the issue was. And for him, it was just that he was different. He was just kind of socially awkward, but it was like, you had to get to know him to know why he is the way he is, and then considering, getting some background information on him and how he was growing up, because when my biological father and the lady got together, like when I found out like about that portion, and he was coming from Texas. So when he came from Texas, here he was, this dark skinned young man. He had on this white John Travolta suit, and I was like, "What's going on with you? Why you got on this white three-piece suit? Where you going?" So that kind of just took us to a different level. Like me being able to see him and his wrong. He was kind of upset. He was like, "I didn't want to come here," and I was like, "Well, why not? You can't look. You got a dope ass sister. Look at me. Like who would want to come see me?" And he was like, "No, it wasn't about you." He's like, "I knew, Raymond had a daughter, and I didn't know if you knew about me." I was like, "Yeah, I knew about you a long time ago." I said, "Well, it's cool. Just know that I'm going to chase you around a little bit. I'm going to torture you because it's just what I do." And I used to commonly tell him, like, "Look, if my dad died, you and your mom getting out of my house, right?" Like, I was the worst. I completely was the worst at that point. Two kids not really knowing, not formally introduced, and was put in a situation. So it's like, okay, he riding for his mom, and I'm gonna ride for my dad, and that's that. When he mad at y'all, I'm mad at y'all. And then, when I get home, tell my mom be like, how'd everything go? And I'll be like, oh, it went okay. She's like, no, you want to talk about now, regular stuff, you know, two people in an awkward situation, and we're just trying to make the best of it, and then we just go from there. I said, do we argue about like stupid stuff? Yeah, like my aunt Vonnie. I was like, that's not your aunt, that's my aunt. You're imported. I'm not. I'm the natural one. You aren't. So you can't call her Aunt Vonnie. You have to call her Yvonne. So he was like, what? Yeah, no, you can't call her Aunt Vonnie because you're not official. This was we just was going through it, just trying to figure it out. When it's blended, a blended family, I think parents don't do well with making all of it come together and making everybody feel comfortable, because it's like my way or the highway, and it was like, I don't gotta listen to her. I got a whole mother at home. Your mom is crazy. She was like, and it would be bad because like when I found out that if I did a thing and he had bunk beds, my biological father, his name is Raymond, he would come upstairs and be like, look, I got to do some work in my office. I don't want y'all running around. I don't want y'all jumping around. I need y'all to be quiet. And he's like, and don't be jumping off the bunk beds. The jumping off the bunk beds was not for my stepbrother. That was really for me. That was my thing. Because I didn't weigh a lot. I might have weighed maybe 96 pounds, maybe soaking wet. So my brother Sean, he'd be like, don't jump off that bed. If you jump off that bed, he's gonna come up here and he's gonna beat us. I was like, us? I don't see a us in my future. He's gonna beat you. And I think he had did something I didn't like, so I knew my defense was to jump off the bed. And then Raymond came upstairs and he was like, I told y'all not to be jumping off that bed. And he had the belt. And he looked at me and I gave him this look like, I wish you might hit me with that belt, because I'll call Roberta. She'll come over here and iron all this out. And he wound up giving my brother a spanking. And at the moment, I was like, damn, he was serious. He was serious. He came up here and he beat you. And then the after effects, my brother is sobbing and everything. And I'm like, that was wrong.
If you cry, I can't enjoy your pain.
I had to make my brother feel better. I was like, I'm sorry I made you get a beating, but I just wanted to see I had to test the theory. I was like, so I won't do it no more. So after that day, I never did it again because I knew that he was gonna come. He couldn't get me, so he was gonna for sure get him. He was like, can't make me the example because I'm calling Roberta. Don't even try it. Don't press your luck. I would suggest you go lay that belt down. So that's like that was like the heavy. Like you're young, you don't really you know that things are going on, but you really don't pay attention a whole lot to those things, but they stay with you forever. There is no getting away from it. So can I understand like why people may not be as open to certain things? Yeah, depends on how you grew up and the things that you saw, and being careful about like I don't want this person to really know like the me, or I don't want the person to know that I have all this stuff, all this baggage that I'm carrying. But growing up as a kid was the bomb. I really wasn't. I was popular by default because I had older cousins on my Kelton side who were popular. So by the time I got to high school, everybody knew me before I knew me. And it's like, all right, well, great. If that's what we're doing, have at it. And then, I participated in sports. I played softball, played basketball for a little while, not too much. And then I became a cheerleader. So between softball and cheerleading, those were my things. And academics. I always was in the corny club. So I was in like the science club, like the science club, where it had like a corny little name where the minds meet the street. No, it's not really what we're even doing in here. We're mostly just in here talking about who's going across the street to go get lunch. We had a across the street from my high school was a sub place, and they would give you like a student special. You can get a half a cheesesteak, a soda, and fries for $2. I was living rich. I was living fabulous. I'd be like, Mom, can I get that $2? Only need $2. But it was, that was the highlights that some people did, especially when you find out your friends don't. You always have a friend who never has money. So it's like, oh, don't worry about it. I got $4. So you're gonna get one and I'm gonna get one. Or, you'd be like, oh, I'll tell you I only got $2, but I'm gonna cut it in half and it's gonna be enough for two of us. That was always the share. I was always the sharing person. And then I would say I think the end of my sophomore year, you could apply to be a peer leader. So it was suggested by my history teacher and my guidance counselor that I would be good to be a peer leader. So a peer leader was the person that when you're coming new to the school, they would bring the peer leader to come and show you all the stuff and tell you all the wonderful stuff about the school. No, not me. I was telling them all the dangers. Don't do that. Don't talk to this teacher. That teacher's crazy, but this one over here is cool. Then just kind of walk that you were responsible to be that person's their foster friend until they got the hang of what was going on. And then we kind of just planned other stuff within the school, community services. We used to go on a retreat, which was great. The retreat that sticks out the most is the peer leaders went on a retreat, and we found out that where we were staying is where they shot the movie Friday the 13th. And I don't know why they told us that as we pulled up. Hey, this is Camp Crystal Lake. This is what and it was like, I knew what Crystal Lake was because I watch all the horror films. And I was like, oh, yeah, so we're not getting no sleep. Nobody's sleeping. Nobody wanted to. And then, like, our housing where we stayed was like the nuns' convent. So it's like 5 rows of bed on each side, but it was like stalls, like rooms, but it had a bed. And then it had a picture of Jesus at the end of the hall and a picture of Jesus at the beginning of the hall. So it's like nobody wants to go to sleep because this is Camp Crystal Lake. So it's like, okay. So we're all like, all of us as peer leaders, we're all huddled up in like one room. So they were like, the boys are on this side, the girls are on that side. And we was like, well, if we all go in the hallway, technically we're in a safe zone because we're all in the hallway together. So the girls were on the left and the boys were on the right. So all the girls kind of lined up on the right, on the left side of the hall. And it's like, we didn't violate anything. We stuck to what you gave us, but we're not sleeping in those rooms. There's no way that we're all dividing up. And this is Camp Crystal Lake. Y'all are crazy. Crazy as hell. So on that particular retreat, we got to see the people who cook, the people who had no idea about cooking or boiling water, people who cleaned, who were good at, making sure things was clean and put away. So we got to find out who had strengths where and who was weak wherever, and we just kind of made it work. I think we were there for a week because it was after the school semester. So like as soon as the summer, right before we come back to school, we had a retreat before we came back. So I was like, all right, great. So I was always the person that always had the extra shit. Oh, you need a hair dryer? Oh, I got one. You got an umbrella? Oh, I got one. You got a poncho? Got it. You got toothpaste? Got it. Because, my mother made sure that I had everything I needed. She made sure it was in that bag just in case there was an emergency. And my stepfather, Sam, worked for public service. So I knew how to fix some stuff. So I was like, got it. He was like, is there anything? Don't worry about what's in my bag. Worry about what's in your bag. I got it taken care of. If it break off, I got it. So it's just, some things happen like in the midst of other things. Like, it's already, and I'm pretty sure, like, as you think back to your own childhood, you know, as you get older, you be like, oh, that's what that means. Okay, so I wasn't crazy, like I knew it, but I didn't knew that there was or another backdrop, or as we conversate, me and my mom, then I find out other things, and then I try to bring her up to speed, like, okay, so let's revisit it like now. Why are you still so angry about my biological father was in the hospital? Um and I told my mom, I said, yeah, he's in the hospital, he's not doing very well. She was it's funny now, but it wasn't funny at the time. So but in Philly, I took her to the who was those people? They had a festival that was going on in Philly. So I figured I'd kill two birds with one stone. I said, I'll take you to see Raymond before he passes. Because we, at that point, we already knew. Like, I already told her, I said, we got him on life support, but it's not my call, but I know that he's already left the building. So she was like, no, his fat self will be able to make it because he's so fat. And it was like, okay, so that's not how this works, but okay. So when I took her to see him, she was really taken aback. She was like, I didn't know. And I was like, no, I explained it to you. You ignored me. So now that you get to see it, now you're in your feelings. Don't be in your feelings. You gotta keep that same energy. Like, if that energy is gonna help you get through it, because yeah, it's a lot to look at and take in when you had a relationship with this person. And now this person is on his deathbed. Like, he is not gonna make it. And she was like, oh, and she was like, I don't know how to feel. And I was like, I can't tell you how to feel. Like, whatever you thought you were going to be able to do at this point, you're not going to be able to do it. Whatever amends that you thought you were going to be able to have, you're not going to be able to mend that. And all this time, you spend so much time being angry, and now this man is about to die, and you so angry about what? And she was like, well, when I was pregnant with you, he took me through a lot of changes. He didn't want to give me money. He didn't want to buy you Pampers, and all of this stuff. And I'm like, what? That anger that you have been carrying on. I'm 50 now, and she's still angry. About what? About what? You have everything that your heart desires, considering you married my stepfather. He gave you everything. Why are you still mad at this man who is not even thinking about you? They are not thinking about you. Why are you mad? And she's like, you don't understand the struggle. No, I understand, but at some point you gotta let that go. You're wasting so much of your energy being mad at something that it's not even your control. You can't fix it. You can't turn back the clock. If you guys made amends with each other then, and y'all made your apologies or whatever, then move on. You got married, he got married. We should be good. Why are we mad? Um, and I still, for the life of me, I understand, but it's like you're wasting so much time being mad. Just let it go. Then we dealt with that happened a few summers ago. But before that, I graduated high school when I was supposed to. I didn't stay back. I graduated. I was great. It was a wonderful time. Everything was working out. My mother decided that I should go to business school. Okay, if that's back then, business school was the way to go. Besides going to college, that was your your fast track to a degree. Great. We look at a few different programs. So I decided on Catherine Gibbs Business School. It was working. I took the count. I have an associate's degree in accounting. I did finish. In the midst of that, I got pregnant with my oldest son. And I was like, great. Trying to figure it out. Had talked to my cousin, and I was like, listen, my mom's gonna kill me. You gotta help me. You gotta help me fix this. And he was like, well, how am I supposed to help you fix it? I was like, I don't know. You know some stuff. I know some stuff. We're gonna put the stuff together, and we're gonna fix this. And he was like, well, what do you want to do? I said, I think it would be in my best interest at this time to get an abortion. Then that way she won't even have to know. And he was like, so I'm not gonna sign on for that project. He was like, I think you need to talk to your mom. And I was like, why? Talk to her about what? I already done told you that the lady is crazy. I'm gonna die. This is gonna be the last day you get to see me on earth. Um, so she and I had a long conversation about it. She was like, well, what do you want to do? And I was like, at this point, not really thinking about a whole lot of other stuff. And I was like, I'll keep my baby. I'm not worried about what the father gonna do. That's let him do whatever he's gonna do. This is my solo project. But his father tried his best, but when you have other interferences, like if every time I come to your house and I'm coming to visit you and say, Jose, like, what do you want? I don't know if Sabrina is here. The fuck? Right here in the background. Like I told her to come. So when you have other interferences, and yes, parents think they have all the answers, and it's like just I felt like if she would have just let the relationship run its course, we might have been okay. But right now we are not. Every time I see him, even in my adult time, it is on site, and he know it. He know it. Whenever.
Almost like a reflection of how your mom was with your dad.
No, because she was. I think that the two situations at some points were mirroring. And when I realized I was mirroring, I tried to change the trajectory. But after I realized that we're just not gonna get along because you have all this outside interference from all these other women. I don't have a lot of men. Darian was my man at the point at that time. He was the person I was solely taking care of. And I always left that door open for his father to say, listen, just because me and you don't get along, that doesn't mean that you can't see him. I don't got to be your friend. I'm never going to be your friend. I don't like the company you keep. I don't like the girls that you got around. But I only ask you that when you do have him, spend time with him. Don't be introducing him to all these other random ass people because they don't matter and they don't count. You need to establish a relationship with him before you can bring anybody else around. But obviously, this man didn't listen. I got a phone call. I'm at work. I get a phone call. I have to come get my kid from the police station. So in my mind, I'm like, oh my God, maybe something happened. He had a car accident. The father, he had a car accident. Something happened. Okay, let me rush, go get my kid. I get there and they're like, ma'am, so we're sorry to tell you that your son was caught in a drug raid. Who? Who was who was in the raid? Who? Not the kid that I have because I clearly had this conversation with his dad. We talked about this. Don't be having him around other people. The girl that he was living with, the house got raided. I was so angry. I was like, I asked the cop. Well, I knew the cop because he knows the family, and I was like, I guarantee if you give me like 5 minutes with him, I just need a cool 5 minutes, just five. I just want to ask him some questions. And he was like, I know you. He's like, I'm gonna ask you to put your hands in your pocket. Yeah, but I still got legs, so I put my hands in my pocket. And I said, I just need him to see me seeing him in this situation so he already know what it is. I came pick up my kid. I had to explain it to Darren. I was like, okay, so we won't be spending the night anymore at his house. He is no longer allowed to take you anywhere. So if he wants to visit you, he has to visit you at our house. Still left the door open for him to, establish that relationship with Darren. And sometimes it was good, sometimes it was bad, and then it was like more bad than good. And as Darren is getting older, the father is still having other kids and a couple of the girlfriends. we didn't have so great relationships. There was a lot of headbutting and some fighting going on. But it's like now that we're all older and they remember, there's one of the other mothers. So there's 10 kids total. Darian is the oldest of 10. So having to explain like to your kid growing up when they ask you like, where's my dad? He's alive. So I answered as many questions for Darian as I possibly could. But it was like you know that your kid is still like trying to like figure it out. Like I know he's local. Or he would say, well, can you take me to see him? Okay. Let me find his number. Let me dig it up from somebody because I don't call him. So his sister was the source, and I was like, "Hey, can you just tell Jason to get in touch with me so, he can have a visit with Darian, and we'll go from there." And he would be either he would call me or he wouldn't call me, or I would just wind up just doing pop-ups at the aunt's house because they were, they wanted to keep Darian in the mix of the kids. Great. Life goes on. I moved away. I moved here to the Trenton Ewan area and kind of just is like, I don't got time to be playing with this man. This man gonna make me go to jail. Let me take my kid, go somewhere else before I end up in jail. But it was even like trying as a parent not to reflect all the stuff that happened before your baby gets here. And it's like looking back, like my mom is, always says, you know what? We could watch a show and she'd be like, oh, I would never do that to my kid. And I look at her and be like, you remember when you put me out when I was pregnant or no? Or we just not going to talk about that. And my mother has custody of my cousin. So I could see the same scenario that was happening with her had happened with me. And I was like, listen, my mom said that you can't come stay here at the house because she was pregnant. Y'all don't get along. So this is not going to work. Let me help you secure someplace for you. Not because I don't want you here, but because she already done said, and she is 10 toes down. I'm trying to tell you. She already said you can't stay here, you cannot live here, you gotta find somewhere. So if you know you're gonna be displaced, then try to find somewhere to go where you at least you're gonna be upset because you want to be where you want to be, but if this is what's on the table, figure out before it happens. So my mom called me. She's like, you have me find somewhere for her to go. And I was like, I really don't want to be involved because this is my cousin. Yes, she knows that if you call me, I'm going to find whatever it is you asked me for because it's how it works. And she wound up going to, I wound up calling Choice One. Choice One is a program for young ladies, girls who are pregnant and don't have no place to go. They will take you in, they set you up with all the programs, they do all the stuff. So I didn't just like set her up in a place where she was not gonna get any help. I was like, you know what, this is gonna work for her. She's gonna get all the stuff that I didn't get when my mom put me out. And I thought the same thing. I was like, she ain't gonna put me out. When I got home, she was like, you gotta go. Who? Me? Me going? We all going. No, just me. Oh, okay. Me go now or later? Today or can I wait? Or can I wait until I find something? She was like, no, you gotta go. I'm not gonna put you before my husband. My marriage is more. I was like, okay, I got it. Say no more. Luckily I had a car. I had a car, got a little suitcase, packed my little stuff, and it's like, so I really gotta go. Okay, I don't know where I'm going, but all right, I got it. I got full tank gas. I'm out. I got a job. And I wind up like for the first 2 months, I think I lived out on my car. And I didn't tell nobody. So the people who knew me, of course your appearance is always great. But for the people who knew me, they was like, something is off about you. And I'm like, nah, it's good over here, it's chill. Until like one of my friends was like, well, I went over to your house and your mom said you wasn't there. And I was like, I was at work. Why would I be there? And it was like, well, funny thing is, I went to your job and they said you weren't there either. And I was like, oh, okay. So I had to finally like tell my friend. I was like, so my mom said I had to go. So I went. And she was like, well, where are you? Like, where are you staying? I was like, well, right here. It's in my car. So my my mother called my aunt so that my aunt could get in touch with me. So my aunt was like, "Well, we like this is my favorite aunt. So it's my mother's sister. My mother's the oldest, so this is my mother's sister." She was like, "So where you at?" I was like, "In my car." And she was like, "Your mom ain't put you out for real." I was like, "What? Yes, she did." Then it really got different when I came to work because then they were like, "Oh, are you okay? Your mom bought you this stuff right here." It's like, "Oh, we got this for you right here." And I was like, y'all was down here talking to her. Didn't I tell y'all don't tell her where I was? So I went from I stayed like 1 or 2 nights at my aunt's house, but it's like hard to stay with somebody who they have their own kids, and it's like she's like, I don't have much. You can sleep on the pull-out couch with those two, and it's like I'm looking at it like, so I'm a pregnant woman at this point. I can't be sleeping on this pull-out. It's uncomfortable. I don't want to put them out. This is their arrangement, and I don't want to interfere with their arrangement, but I appreciate it. And I told her, I was like, no, I'll call you later. I'll let you know where I'm at. So on paydays, I would get a room at a hotel, not close in town. I would go all the way out almost to Banbrook and just get a room there and just stay there. So people would be like, oh, where you been? Nowhere. Oh, I'll be working. That used to be my favorite. I'll be working. Then Darian's father, some nights I would stay with him and his sister. Like his sister, he stayed with his sister, but she had 2 kids. So it's like if you're an only child, you're not used to that much noise or that many people in one space. And then I would only like spend maybe a few nights, like 1 or 2, but I would rotate where I wanted to stay. And then it's like, I can't stay here. Y'all niggas is too noisy. I can't even sleep. I can't hear myself think. But it was like, here it is, somebody who doesn't have as much as my mother, who was willing to share that space. And it was like, oh, okay. So they was like, well, you don't want to stay here. And it's like, oh, I'm just used to quiet. I just want to be alone. I got a lot of stuff to think about. I got a lot of stuff to do. I wound up going back home like right the month before, 2 months before I had Darren. So Darren was born in January. So I think it was like November I came back because she was looking for me. She's like, listen, I talked to Sam. I want you to come home. And I was like, I've been out all this damn time. But I did understand the assignment because the baby is coming regardless of where I'm at. So I was like, well, let me just go home. It'll just be more comfortable to for everything to be set up. So I worked 2 jobs. I was working 2 jobs at the time when I came back home. I stayed there until I had Darian, and on my right before my 23rd birthday, I moved out. That was the projection. I was like, okay, we can no longer stay here because I want to be able to do other stuff, and it's uncomfortable for them. It's uncomfortable for me. In a I'm in a room with a kid, and we're looking at each other every day. So we need more space. Me and him need more space. My mother has a 3-bedroom ranch, so there was enough room for him to have a room and me to have a room. But I get it. This your house with you and your husband, and I need to go figure out what me and my kid gonna do. So we wound up moving, and it was so funny because my mom, I moved. I moved while my mother was at work, but I did take my stepdad. Sam wanted me to go look at the apartment before I put my money down. He knew where I was moving before she knew. So, because he and I was close, and we had a whole conversation. He was like, you don't have to go. I was like, no. I have to go. I have to go because we're in that stage of me moving into an adulthood, and my son's getting older, and he can't call both of us mommy. There can't be 2 different sets of rules. So it's just best, and we're gonna figure it out. If it work, it work. If it don't, it don't. We'll figure it out. So I moved to Cranberry, which is more than 45 minutes away from where my mom lived. So she was like, when I finally let her come to visit, she was like, why'd you move way out here? Because I need to be an adult by myself. All by myself. I can't have all this other outside interference, especially when you're raising a kid. Like, he can't have different rules with you and then different rules with me, and then you think your rules supersede my rule. No. One rule, my rule, and my rules rule the place. He was going to a school called Tutor Time. He enjoyed it. And on Fridays, you could pick up dinner through the school. So if you didn't want to cook, and like, especially if it was something that so their lunches were cooked lunches, not processed, not like how Trenton gets the lunches with the film over the top. Not that. This is somebody cooking in the kitchen. So you got a home cook. They got a home cooked meal in that school every day. So on Fridays, when your kid learns to read, he's like, oh, mom, they're having XYZ. His favorite was the lasagna. They're having a lasagna, and you're going to get the garlic bread and the side salad. And if you just order it from school, then you can just pick it up when you pick me up. And I was like, all right, now he wanted me to be bougie, and I can't afford it, but I'm a bougie for him. So I would get it because, that was his thing. That's what he liked. But then it was like still trying to figure out adulthood on your own, and then you move into an apartment. Nobody don't tell you that you got to pay for all this extra stuff that don't come with the apartment. So it's like electric bill. I thought that came with the apartment. Like nobody. So this is extra with the cable and the dog that I just got and the car. So it's like fine, we're doing all of this stuff, and it's like then the relationship between me and his father, it was better because I gave him some responsibility. Now I don't live as close to my mom. I was going to school at night. I was working during the day and going to school at night. And I was like, listen, simple task. Pick him up from my mom and bring him to me. And then you can go home. There's no need for you to stay. I feel like that car ride is enough time for you to build whatever bridge you're trying to build, but do it on your time. But then I didn't know on the flip side is that when he went to go pick up my son to bring him home to me, my mom would give him issues. Well, you know what? You don't have to pick him up. I'll just meet Tangela tomorrow and we'll just go from here. And I would have to call her and I was like, Mom, just let him bring my son home. I'm not coming over there tomorrow. I had class Monday through Friday, and now it's gonna be the weekend. And I just kind of want to stay home. I don't want to do nothing. So she's like, oh, well, I'm just looking out for his safety. You don't know what he's going to do, every day in the paper. It's like, okay, yes, we understand that every day in the papers or whenever shit's happening. But I don't believe that he's going to kill his kid. I don't believe he's going to kidnap him because he knows that that's going to be a beating of his life. So he knows that I will hunt him down like the dog that he is. And even if I don't do it, I have cousins who can't wait to do it for me. So we're not going to have those issues. Just, let him bring him home so we can do what we got to do. So she was like, you guys are not messing around, are you? No. But that has nothing to do with him driving him over here. Now, if it's not to say if it was a night and I know like around certain holidays, cops are out heavier. And at the time being living in Cranberry, that means he had to come through Hightstown, Princeton and Hightstown. Those are the stops. So I'd be like, look, it's late. You're welcome to either pull up some floor or sleep on that couch until the morning. And then when you get ready to leave, just let me know that you're leaving or just lock my door. You don't even gotta wake me up, just lock my door. And of course, when you have a kid with somebody, they do try the most stupidest stuff. Well, I was figuring that maybe we could just lay in the bed together. No, I was thinking that you could go out there and get on that couch. That's what I'm thinking. Because there's no room in here. It's me, the dog, and my baby. Period. Now, the dog is going to bite you. If you even attempt to come in here, he's going to bite you. So if I was you, I'd get on that couch. Or you can get in your car and go and take your chances with the cops. Those are your options. So we tried it and it just wasn't working. It was too many outside interferences and noise, so we just had to call it quits. And then it turned into violence between like the different girlfriends that he had, and it's like, oh, you need to tell her XYZ. And that was the one thing that I could really say about him. He never let anybody else disrespect me, no matter if it was man or woman. He just is like, nah, that's my baby mama right there. I can't have you talking about my baby mama. How does that make me look? But me and him, oh, we was rumbling. We was rumbling into this day. He is a local DJ. If I showed up at a party that he was DJing, he's going to leave. And no matter what's happening, he disappears. And it's like the funniest shit because I'm not looking for you. I am married. I got my own tribe of kids. I got my own thing going on. I'm not even thinking about you in that capacity. But it's not to say that if I see you, I'm not gonna have some choice words, but I'm really not thinking about you enough for you to disappear. We're adults. So we can't have a conversation. Like he disappears like he got a genie. I ain't never seen nobody disappear like that in my life. Never. And it's like, damn, I just seen him like he's like gone. Or a person be like, yeah, did you see? I be like, yeah, I saw him. And it's like, oh, he gone. What? Like I'm not even looking for him. It's the fact that he saw me, and it's like, oh, all right, well, says a lot about my character, I guess. I didn't know you was that afraid of whatever might happen, especially if I'm not looking for you. I'm here to have a good time, not looking for you. Yes, you owe child support, but I'm not looking for you. You just gave yourself away, though. You gave your whole self away. But childhood was good, except for some of the quirks. It's just, I think when you have those quirks that present themselves earlier on in your life and you see it either happening with your kid or their friend, you know how to handle it better and you can cleanly say, I've been in your shoes before. So let's, if you want to, let's talk about it. Let's break it down. Let's figure out together like what your next move is going to be. You're not alone. There's other people that have been there and it's far more worse. Like, yeah, I was living in my car for a little while, but at least I had a car. It had heat. I had choices. I could stay in a hotel, but it's not like I'm like literally living outside on the street. Because back then, you could go to your grandma's house or somebody's house, and somebody would take you in. Nowadays, I don't think that's gonna happen. They're not letting you in. They be like, "Oh, you gotta go home. You ain't got no aunt, no uncle, no grandma. Oh, nobody else you would call." But yeah, can't can't complain too much. It's just those back then they were really really big things, but now it's just like, what could I have done differently then versus all the stuff now? So it's like, oh, it's too late. I didn't know I could go there, or you didn't know that there were services for that, or programs or what have you, until like you're an adult and it's like, oh, it's all these programs. Why nobody tell me? Y'all see me out here doing the most.
I remember you told me in your message there was like a huge fire that happened
Yes.
with your family.
I think I was 10. I think I was 10. I had either 9 or 10. So it's been described and it's still being described to this day as the New Year's fire. It happened on New Year's Eve. Um, so there was a bunch of us kids at that point, and everybody wanted to stay over grandma's house. So my mother is always protective of me during, when I was younger. She always kept me close to the hip. So it's New Year's Eve. Everybody is, doing their thing. My mother's sister Laura and her sister Katie, I think they were like planning to get together, like with all the kids, because it was going to be New Year's Day. So they was like, all right, I'll see you tomorrow. So a few of the other kids wanted to stay. So I asked, could I stay? And my mom was like, no, not this time. We're going to come over here tomorrow. My mother literally, from where we live, we could see my grandmother's house out the window. It's like one street block. So, and I was like, well, mom, I could just walk home in the morning. I'll come home early morning. And she was like, well, no, my stepdad had to work and she didn't want to be in the house by herself. So I was like, that's pretty selfish, but okay. My cousin, um, her mother was going out with some of her friends. So my mother was like, well, why don't you come over to the house and stay with Tangela? And then we'll just come over here in the morning. She told my aunt, I'll meet you at the house in the morning. So commotion. And I remember like my stepfather, Sam, had came home. I'm like, he worked midnight shift. And I'm like, it's like 3 or 4 in the morning. Like, what are you doing here? It's not time for you to come home. You should come home at 7. So I hear them talking. There's a fire. I'm like, where? Like, look, kids, nosy as hell. Where the fire at? And me and my cousin, we look out the window and we could see the fire, but we don't know it's my grandma's house. We just could see the fire. So next thing I know, she was going somewhere else and I was going somewhere else. And I'm like, well, I'm over here. I was at my mother's friend's house. And I said, well, where's my mom? And then my biological father picks me up. Raymond picks me up. And he's like, so you're going to come over. We're going to go see your Nana. My Nana lives in Metuchen. We're going to see your Nana until your mom is ready. Your mom has to take care of some stuff. And I was like, oh, all right, cool. Cool beans. But I realized I've been over there for a few days now. And then by the time I got with my mom, I can hear the adults talking about the fire that took place. So the fire claimed 7 people. So I'm like, damn, like as we grow older and we find out, like I remember my mom was going to counseling. I remember, being at the funeral. I remember my mom trying to plan a funeral for 7 people. I remember other people talking about the fire, but I don't remember if I went to the funeral or not. I just know that she was making the plans. So you're growing up. I definitely can't go nowhere now. We are twins at this point. So yes, I'm still going to school and carrying all that on, but it's like it became constricting. Like, well, can I go visit a friend? No. I don't know what they're doing over there. Well, they like I've known this person for years. Like, what do you mean? Or something as simple as going to a basketball game. It's like, no. So she let me try out for cheerleading, and I never could understand this. You let me try out for cheerleading. I make the squad, but you don't want me to ride on the bus with everybody else. So it's awkward now. She's like, I'll come to the high school, I'll pick you up, and we'll take you to the game, and then you'll go home with us. And it's like everybody's on the bus together. We're a team. But okay, if it's gonna make you feel better, have at it. So now you're going through high school and you're like trying to figure out like what happens to you all the time. Her fear was that something was gonna happen to me, and she was like, I almost lost you, and I was like, okay, I get it.
What did you feel in the moment?
I was like, this lady is crazy. Like I can't do nothing. Like I was really struggling with like the stuff that other people say because they don't know that your parent has gone through all this trauma. They don't know that part. So you just are kind of like you're trying to make it comfortable for her to understand that it's like going swimming for the first time and you get in the water and you're like, all right, I'm treading it, I'm doing it, but you're standing up, so you're really not treading. You're just in there. You're like, yeah, I'm doing it. It's safe. But as you start to creep out more and more, it's like, oh shit, I can't feel the bottom. Ain't nothing to grab on. And you're thinking like, oh my god, I could drown at this moment. So trying to get her to understand, like, okay, so what about if before I leave, I call you, and when we leave the game, if I can find a phone in the school, I call you. Or what about if I'm going out with this said friend, we'll make sure that we let you know where we're going and how long we're going to be there. So as we're moving further and I get into my junior year, I decided that I was going to sing in the youth choir at church because I thought if I can't go nowhere else, then I can go to church because now the cheer season is over, so got to find something else to do. So I decided I'm going to sing in the youth choir. Well, I meet a girl named Zelda. We became best friends. Zelda had a car. Zelda would be like, "You want to go get some French fries?" Because McDonald's was close by. You want to go get French fries? Who don't want French fries? So we would go to. It started out just going to McDonald's. Then we would go a little further, and then a little further, and then it's like Sunday. We got to sing. We looking at each other like, "You got the words?" Because I'm kind of these words, but thank God we were like soloists, so we just kind of blend in. We just kind of blend in. But then we became friends, and my mother became comfortable Like my mother had met her parents and her father, and they didn't live far from where we live. So she was like, okay, she's okay with that. And we were together all the time. If I wasn't with my friend Zelda, then I was with my friend slash like a sister and the kids. So we kind of, those were my people that she knew I would be with, and I was safe because she knew their parents. So it's like, okay, cool. Trouble still happened though. We were still doing stuff, but we made sure that the stuff that we we didn't get caught, and we made sure that most of the time we were going out of town. So we weren't staying in New Brunswick. We were venturing out to other places, and then we would come back home. But we made sure to be accountable for one another. So I didn't have bad friends. I can we terrorized other people. Nobody was terrorizing us. We were the terror. But the fire kind of really like took its toll on everybody because everybody was kind of flipped upside down. It was certainly nothing nobody prepared for. But for my mom being the oldest of five and having to like plan a funeral for seven people, but however, her brother, my uncle, and my other aunt were still, and my two aunts were still present here. So it's like, yes, we lost so much, but you guys should be so close. And then it's like for me, as being the oldest kid, it was like, okay, I wanted to make a point for my cousin who stayed with me for us to be close because at the time we were all we had. It was just me and her. And the two of us was trying to make sense out of what the fuck happened. Even as an adult speak, we were like, how did this happen? Like, how did we get here? We had such a big family, and now this is all we have right now. So we got to make sure that we stay in touch, and we do some different things, and hopefully our kids will be close. But it was like when I moved from the area, um, she was still in the area. So it's like I always made myself available. Look, if you want to come over to my house, you can come over to my house, stay as long as you need. And she's like, well, why'd you move so far? Because I need to be my own person. And I needed to be in a space where um, my mother couldn't come so easily. So if I lived close, of course she would come to my house. But because I was more than 45 minutes away, it was like I gotta call her and see if she home before I go drive all the way over there because I wasn't close. And my mother doesn't like to drive on the highway. So it's like she had to take a back road to get to my house. So of course now that's gonna take longer. So she's like, I just want to make sure you're gonna be home. And I was like, well, just call me and then I'll make sure that I'm home. But if I'm not home, I'll tell you where I'm at. So I think that kind of like for her, it just made like to her it made no sense that I lived that far.
How did it make you feel living that far? Because you said like you guys were so close,
It
and
was
such a grip on you to
yeah,
finally like.
it was needed. It was needed because you can't grow into yourself if you don't know what yourself is. You can't grow if you don't know who you are. And it's like I've always had this identity of being Roberta's daughter. Like, do y'all know that I have a name or no? So it was needed on a lot of different platforms because I needed to learn how to be by myself, like completely by myself. How to deal with my kid, just me and him, how to like get my routine together. Okay, we're gonna get up at 7, we get ready, we're gonna go to work, we're gonna come home, establishing what our routine is gonna be, and at the same time, we're growing together because at the end of the day, I'm all he got and he all I got. Although I have my mom, but in that sense of making sense out of trying to grow, you can't grow if a person doesn't allow you. If a person only teaches you to be dependent on them, then you can't grow when it's time to be out in the world. You're gonna be so lost. You're gonna be like, well, let me call her. Do I get the large eggs or do I get the extra large eggs? The carton is gray. Doesn't matter because there's a green one, there's a pink one. Like, no, I'm not gonna call you every time I make a move. I'm gonna do shit. Good, bad, or indifferent, I'm doing it. When I moved out and I moved to Cranberry, and I learned what happens when you don't pay the bill for the electric. Cut your shit off. I did learn that. I learned that you have to pay you have to pay your rent on time. My nigga will get rid of you. And then it was like I moved from there, and then I moved into Trenton. And I moved to Hamilton. I was in a nice little neighborhood. It was quiet. I had the Domino's down the street. I had Carvel. I was living large then, just me and my son. And I was like, ugh. Then like my mom did come over. She was like, and she came to the one that was on Walnut. She was like, oh, so this is where you want to live? And I was like, yeah, I guess so. I was like, I'm making the best out of it. It is what it is. I know one thing, I'm not moving back to your house. So, I'm gonna work it as I see fit. I'm gonna learn. I'm gonna learn through trial and error, and we're just gonna keep pressing until we get to where we want to be. And she's like, oh, well, you could come back home. And it's like, yeah, no, I'm good. Thank you for asking. Thank you for being here now. But I'm gonna go ahead and just go through this process, whatever it is. So it just comes from knowing what you've been through versus if I made it through that. Me pressing on ain't gonna hurt me. Let me just continue to press on, and if I need your help, I will talk to you about it. But um I can't allow you to make the decision for me. I'm going to continue to stand on business every time. Right, wrong, or indifferent, I'm going to stand on it. And I'm gonna just go through it and be like, nope, this is the decision that I chose and rock out with me. Now, and I thank God I did have good friends at the time that just would be like, no, failure is not an option. I'd be like, well, how about a little bit? Because right now where I'm living at, I can't. They was like, nah, failure ain't an option. Whatever you need, my sister friend the kid, it was always whatever you need. You need to get a ride, you need a ride to class, I'll take you to class. um she and I had decided we were when I lived in Cranberry. She had and it was weird because I lived on the other side of Cranberry, and she lived over by the police department in Heights, like the Heightstown, West Windsor area. So I decided that I was gonna start dating again. So she was like, "Don't worry about a babysitter. Bring him over here. I'm gonna keep him." But she said, "One thing we're gonna do, we're gonna switch houses." So she would come to my apartment, and I would go to her apartment to meet. I would never meet them like at her house. Like I would meet them out in the courtyard. So they never really knew like if I lived in the place or not. So there was a guy that I did. Uh, we dated for a long while. He was in the military. He was in the Navy. So he did get to see her apartment. Her apartment. I don't live there. So he was like, "Oh, this is nice, but I thought you said you had a kid and like you got all this white furniture." And I was like, "Don't worry about it. Why are you worried about it?" He's like, "Oh, like he's trying to put the pieces together, but I'm not giving him enough information to even put it together." So I think he wanted to come over. It was Valentine's Day. He wanted to surprise me, so he went to that apartment, and my friend was there. So she's calling me. She's like, "We got a package over here." I said, "Huh?" She's like, "Yeah." She's like, "He must have showed up while I was at work and left the package here for you." I was like, "All right, cool." She's like, "I'm gonna drive it over to you." So as she's coming out, he's walking up, and he was like, "Hey, I just see you come out of Tangela's apartment. Is Tangela there?" And she was like, "No, she didn't get off work yet." And he's like, "Do you know what time she'll be around here?" She's like, "I don't think she'll be around here until like 8 or 9." So when she came, and she's like, "But I'm going to the grocery store, so maybe you come back around that time." So she comes over, she brings me the stuff, and she's like, "Okay, so now you got to go to my house because he's coming back between 8 and 9." And I was like, "Well, I don't want to." She's like, "You got to go over there." And I was like, "I don't got to do nothing. He don't really know that I don't live there. He could just really just knock on the door and not get anyone. I'm cool with that." She's like, "No, no, no. He's a nice guy. Don't run him away." I was like, "I don't give a damn about all that. I'm out here having fun. I'm not trying to keep him forever." So I wound up going back, and I was like, "Hey, you can't just be popping up at my house like that. I didn't give you permission for that. We're not exclusive." And he's like, "Oh, well, I just wanted to do something nice for you. I want to take you out." And I was like, "Yeah, I don't want to go out though, not tonight." He was like, "How? Like you're hot, you're cold. You hot, you're cool. And I was like, look, I don't like everybody. I told you that in the very beginning. I told you I don't like people and I don't like pop-ups. And what did you do? You popped up. So now I'm gonna have to put you on the list. Now I'm gonna have to put you on a break. I'll call you when I'm ready for you to come over again. And he was like, so I can't take you out? No, I covered that already. Covered that. And I was like, and then like I called my friend and she's like, look, everything here is good. She's like, baby just went to sleep. So she's like, you might as well go. I was like, all right, well, we can go. So um I just kind of, there were periods where I just kept people at bay. Like, you don't need to know everything. You don't need to come over here and see what I'm doing. You stay over there, and if I feel like talking, I'm gonna talk. If I don't feel like talking, we're not gonna talk. And it's like, and my friend was like, she always said, well, you're not gonna be able to find anyone if you just keep. And I was like, yeah, I'm good. I think I'm doing great. I think I'm doing okay. I don't want to date nobody. I want to have the fun that I'm gonna have, and that's that. So when she would, we would talk about everything from, how I'm feeling about not being at home to being, living in Cranberry and working, because now I'm not working at Prudential, which was in Cranberry. I'm now working in the Trenton area. So she's like, how's it feel? You doing okay? You need anything? And vice versa. We basically would help take care of each other. Yeah. So it's like, if I don't got it, she got it. If I wanted to get my hair done, I had no money to get my hair done. She does hair as well. She would say, come to the shop. You looking a little raggedy. And I'd be like, oh, how dare you? But at least, you my friend for the game. You got me. So, all right, I'm going to come. She's like, all right, if you don't come, I'm going to come find you. And it's like, all right, I'm coming. So, you know, I thank God that I had, those friends during that time that was, all of us were doing something different, but we all came together when if somebody needed something, we had it. We took care of it because we all kind of like struggled with having mom issues. And it was like, we was like, we're not going to be out here living in the streets. Or again, for me, it was again, but it's like, we're not going to, allow for people to manipulate us into doing different stuff. She's like, if it don't feel good, you call me. If it don't feel good to me, I'm going to call you. So we had already established how the support system was going to work. And then if you couldn't abide by the support system rules, then we had to either get on you or we had to get rid of you. So we had to make some decisions. So it wasn't so bad. Yep. We had to make our own village within the village. So it was like, because my villaging wasn't villaging at some point. I think my village had took a break. So I was like, all right, well, while my village is taking a break, I'm going to go ahead and build this other village just in case, because life is still happening. Life is still moving. I still got other stuff to do. And you just don't know what's going to happen where you're going to need somebody other than your parent that you could have, the hard, funky conversation and say all the words that you want to say where you don't have to censor it. And then it's just some stuff that I'm never going to have a conversation with my mom about. We're never going to talk about it. Even if she asks me, we're still not going to talk about it. I might give her like a 1 or 2 words, 3-word sentence, and that's it. But we're not going to dive deep in that area because I just feel like she wouldn't be ready for that, and she kind of judgy sometimes. So it's like, can you just listen to the situation without judging the person or judging why they did what they did, because you don't understand what they're going through. Everybody's going through something different. Even your situation. I don't know anybody that could lose so many people at one time and not have like some type of after effect where they're going to do something weird that they ordinarily wouldn't do. So, like, you got to, some stuff you just got to figure it out. It's trial and error. And there is no rule book to how you live your life. I mean, actually, it is. You got the Bible, but then you're like, oh, say right here, but we can also do this because it only says this. It didn't say this. Right? You left me some space to work with, but ultimately, you know that I am not perfect. So since you know that I was born not perfect, I'm gonna make some mistakes, some good, some bad, some in between, and I try not to like my kids, when they make a mistake, I try to be more understanding and not crucify them. And I ask them questions like, why? Tell me what you was thinking. Because if it's a situation that I might have been in myself that may be similar, when they tell me what they did, and I said, well, look, this is what I did. And look at me, unscathed a little bit.
A little bit.
A little bit. I got scorched.
You got a good humor.
Yes, I got scorched, but at least I'm not so old, so much older than them that I can still share some of that stuff with them and it still be relevant, as opposed to acting like, oh no, that's never happened to me. I've never been touched. I'm still perfect in the rapper. Meanwhile, my rapper's all fucked up. Rapper is torn, the words is worn off. No, I try to at least meet them in the situations that they're in and make sure that they understand that I'm open to talk about it. I might not understand all of it, but I'm open to talk about it, and we're gonna work it out. There's nothing so bad that we cannot work out.
And you took classes to be trauma informed as well, right?
Yes, I took a trauma healing class, and I was like, at first, I was like, I'm just taking this class because the church said I had to in order to do some other stuff that I wanted to do. But I think at the time that I took the class was perfect timing because so me and my husband took the class. He took class because I was taking the class. And I was like, come on, we gotta do this together. You know, we're outreach leaders. It makes sense. We're gonna be on the same page. So you're gonna know, I want you to be able to even if you never use the certification, you never know when you're in a situation where somebody you gotta figure out how you're going to help them not do whatever it is they think they're going to do or however they're feeling. And I was like, we both have enough experiences that we can share with somebody else to let them know that, look, you're not in this space alone. You ain't crazy. It's just that you're thinking about it by yourself and you didn't share it with nobody for them to be able to say, hey, I fully understand and I know how you feel, as opposed to explaining it to a person and they've never been through that scenario before. So it makes it hard. But yeah, we did take the trauma hero class, and it was very interesting. Um, the woman who facilitated the class was great. Although she said my name wrong every time. Easiest name, she said it wrong every time. She was calling me Tangelina, and I'm like, where do you see all these extra letters? It's only 7 letters. Like you got all these other where, where are you getting this? So I just let it ride. I figure if that's how she remembers my name, it's not that big of a deal. It's really not. But we did take the class. It was very like take. I would say anybody that's going to take a trauma healing class, take it with somebody that you trust, or take it with your spouse or your significant other. It will make the difference in the relationship. Yeah, or your therapist. It makes the difference because now you know how to talk to each other without making the person feel like you don't care. So it's like, keywords that you have to use. And I think my biggest phrase was I feel. She was like, you have to use I feel. Why? Why do I need to use I feel? Well, maybe I don't feel it. Or maybe that phrase is not comfortable for me because I feel like a lot of things and I don't want to put the I feel and put me in a box. And it's like, I might feel stupid right now, but it's for the moment. It's not all the time. And it's like, yeah, I'm not saying I feel. And like later on, me and my husband will talk about it. I was like, I'm not saying that shit. I don't feel like that. And it's like, well, you can't do it. I can do whatever I want. I'm grown. Remember, I'm an adult. But we did learn. There was a situation that happened while we were taking a class that all of us was blown away by the information that was given. And the person, I was friends with her, and I was like, that helped me understand some things about her that she didn't know that she was giving off. And I was like, got it. Like I was like, oh, okay, I got it. This is why you're drawn to me for a specific reason. And like my kids always say, why do people always come and tell you their story? And I was like, I don't know. I don't think I'm giving off no pheromones or nothing. I think it has to do with my demeanor. And that's like I'm not uptight, I'm not stuffy. And if I'm sitting somewhere or if I'm waiting somewhere, I can always find somebody in the room I'm going to have a conversation with. It just happens. But the story part, I never know if that's going to happen. Can I feel it coming on? Yeah. If the person has enough space to like lay it, like to start to roll it out, I was like, yeah, I can feel it coming on. And depending on my mood, either I relocate myself and be like, all right, I got to go take care, or sometimes I just let it happen because I don't know that that space may mean the world to that person, especially if it's a person that feel like they're not being heard. And here I am, the perfect stranger, and I'm like, I would say in my present life now, and if I was talking to my younger self from back then, I would keep at the forefront. It's only for this amount of time, especially if you're high schooler. It's only going to be this amount of time. Start preparing your mind and yourself for where you want to go, because you should be getting ready to plan either your career goal, if you're going to college, if you're working, what does that look like? Start preparing for yourself how you're going to move forward in that. And journal, write it down. Write exactly down how you feel, why you feel that way, what's making you feel that way. And then if you have a family member or a friend or somebody who's neutral, plan for a conversation so that you can learn more about why your parent may be feeling that way. Because it may be some other stuff that you're totally not privy to. It just happened to be that I knew why my mother felt that way. There was a fire, everybody died in the fire. Here I am, happy go lucky, who wanted to stay. She said, no, I couldn't stay. And at the time, being young, you're like, oh, everybody over there having all the fun. And I'm in here coloring. Back then, that's when they had the giant color books. I'm like, I'm over here just coloring in the coloring book, and they out here having a big fun. And now the fire comes, and now I was growing older, I understood, like, oh my God, like our family was wiped out. She only has me, and she'd been like, yeah, you can stay, and having to wake up and know that your only child is gone.
I would have been overprotective too.
And like my aunt, my cousin who is and I'm gonna say my cousin who is alive, lost her brother in that fire. So it was like you got one who stayed and one who's still here because she was with me. And it was like, my mom, you're totally encapsulated in your own grief, but you didn't think about your sister, what she was grieving with, considering in the moment when you think about it, she saved one. So, you know, and the two of them were close. So the one thing that them two, they would get on the phone and they start that when I die story. That used to take me out. My mom would get on the phone and she'd be like, when I die, well, you know what? I'm gonna call you tomorrow because I got some stuff to do, and we'll continue. We're gonna pause right there because I don't really want to hear that. But I understood it. It's just that I just was not letting that conversation happen. I was like, nope, you get on the phone with your sister and you, when I die, her to death. Matter of fact, y'all can do it to each other, because that was a common conversation for the two of them. The when I die story. And to this day, me and my cousin, we still laugh about that. We laugh about that conversation. Or if I'm on the phone with her, I'll be like, and when I die. And then we just bust out laughing because although it wasn't, again, it's not funny, but it's funny to us because we understand like the relationship that they had, and we kind of have some of that relationship where we get on the phone and she'd be like, you know what, your mom on my last nerve. And I'd be like, well, what she do? Because she did some stuff to me too, so you tell me what she did to you, and I'm gonna tell you what she did to me. Or it may be like my mom recently, my stepfather passed away 2 years ago now, and I'm just hearing, she said it to me, but I ignored her. And she just recently said it to my son, and he said it back to me. And he's like, yeah, Nana's over there talking about how you abandoned her. Excuse me? I said, I didn't abandon anybody. You treat me a certain way, I got to step back from you. I'm no longer forcing myself to be in your space if you're going to mistreat me. No, I got to take a break from you. You cussing and calling me out my name, got to take a break from you. Yeah, I gotta take a break. The break might be 3 months, might be 6 months, could be a year. So what I would do is when I take those breaks from her, I have the kids call your nana and see how your nana doing. And then they'd be like, "You want?" No, I distinctly told you that I don't want to talk to her. I just want you to check on her and then tell me how she's doing. That's what I asked you to do. Oh, I thought you wanted to know. I didn't ask if I wanted to talk to her. I'd have called her myself. But yeah, I had to, as hard as it was, I had to make that was gonna be when I don't want to deal. I don't have to. Why am I forcing myself to deal with people? I don't have to do any of that. And even now, the kids know when I'm not dealing. They know when I'm not dealing because I be in my room in the bed. And if they come to the door, I don't even acknowledge that they're in the doorway because I have checked out from you. I've punched your ticket. We're taking a break. But I don't take long breaks from now. But like my mom, sometimes I gotta take a break. She be too much at one time, and I'd be like,
You've already had enough growing up
yeah,
closeness. It's
yeah.
okay for
I'm
some
like,
space.
I'd be like, I really want to tell you the stuff that I tell people in the streets, but you my mom, because I want you to understand how you're making me feel right now, and I think that's the only way for you to understand how serious this is. But I'm like, I'll just take a break from you. It's break time. Well, we are getting ready to have this conversation about how she keeps accusing me of what was the word she used? Abandoning her. Yeah, we're gonna have this conversation about that. But when she said it, I said we're not having this conversation over the phone. So she was like, "Well, I don't care what you want to do. We are not having this conversation over the phone. We're gonna have this conversation face to face because I want you to see my eyeballs when I say it to you." Um, there's a lot of things that has gone on, throughout the years. My mother has custody of my cousin. Um, did I agree with it? No. It would be different if this is some kid we found and didn't have a family and we took him or her in. That would be great. Yes, then I could play that big sister role. But I know who you are, and I know who your parent is. So no, you're not gonna call me your sister, you're gonna call me your cousin. Period. And my mom can be mad, she can have attitude, that's her prerogative, but between me and you, I am not your sister, I'm your cousin. But even in that sense, it makes things kind of tense because I understand why you're doing what you're doing, but at the same time, this kid has a sister who knows the family dynamics, who is going to convey that information because they're sisters. She's not trying to hurt your feelings. She's her sister, so she's like, if I'm with mom and you're with the aunt, when we get together, I think that you're supposed to call her mom and not your auntie. And that's only what the kid said. That's not your mom. This is your mom. That's your aunt. My mom got really upset. And I'm like, it's a kid. You have to remember she's not an adult. She's a kid. And she's only talking about the dynamic that she learned about of the transition that goes on in her house. She knows that that's her sister. Why are you upset with her? Because she's telling her sister, she's not telling her a lie. It's just that you're not ready to deal with that. And we can't make you deal with it until you're ready to recognize it. So now here we are. We're all adults. Yeah, we're all adults now. So the kid is now an adult. The adult has 3 kids. So right now, me and my cousin, my other cousin, her, we're not talking. And my mother's upset with me because I'm not talking to her. So I had to tell my mother, I said, listen, it started, my daughter graduated from college and we were planning, we're going to graduation. Graduation's in Virginia. We are going 6 hours away. And I kind of laid it all out. And I had been on the fence about a few different decisions that I had made. But the house did not tell me. They just kind of went along with it. You know what? This is what mom wants to do. It's fine. We're going to graduation. Everybody's excited about going to graduation. We're going to Virginia. It's like mini vacay. It did not feel like that at all. It felt like chaos. It was chaos. It was sheer chaos. Georgia got out. Well, my white dog, Georgia. She got out that morning. before we got ready to leave for graduation. We were getting ready to leave, and I turned, packed up the car. Like, we cleared everything out of the cars, and like, I'm going and getting ready to go in the house, but the door's open. I'm like, shit. I look behind me, and there she's standing. So I was like, oh man, it's gonna take us at least an hour to get Georgia back in the house because she's gonna run around until she's tired. So I'm like, all right. So my mom's like, I didn't let her out. I said, Mom, I know it had nothing to do with you. I said, whoever the last person is, then close the door all the way. I said, it is what it is. So she's like, well, what time do you? I said, I need to be in Virginia today. We were trying to make it because her school has a commencement ceremony before graduation, and it was Friday at 5 o'clock. So I'm like, it is what it is. Calling to my, I said the dog is. I sent to my a picture of the dog outside, and I said, trip has been pushed back. So my husband's like, you know what? You and your mom, y'all go ahead. You and your mom, and my mom brought my baby cousin slash goddaughter. Okay, and her dog. I had just gotten her dog. I'm like, okay. I'm like, you sure? Because I'm driving my mom's car. My husband's driving my car. My son is driving his car. And at the time, me and Michael only had the one car. So it's like we knew we were going to need an extra car. Like if my mother was going to go, she wasn't going to be able to fit in the car with us. So it's like, well, Mom, do you want me to drive your car so that you can come and at least we're in your car, you're comfortable? She's like, okay. So I was happy about that. Dog gets out. So we get on the road. We're in the first leg of the trip because it takes 6 hours. I stop whenever I go that route. I stop after the third hour. I gas up. I pee. I grab a snack. I get back in the car. I finish the last leg, the next 3 hours. We had just finished the first hour. My mom gets a phone call. It is my cousin. Why did you call the school and tell the school that baby girl wasn't going to be there? My mom was like, well, I wanted them to know in advance that she wasn't going to be at school. So my cousin says, thank you, fine, and she hangs up. I was like, okay, conversation over. I should have known better. She called back. Now she's upset. I don't know what happened between them 2 little seconds, but she called back and now she's like, bring my daughter home. Bring her home right now. I'm going to call the cops. And she's just going on and on and on and on. The more she goes on and on, the angrier I get. The angrier I get, the faster I'm driving. I have forgotten somebody's following me. That's, my son is following me. Forgot all about him. So he texts me, why are you driving so damn fast? How am I supposed to follow you? So I was like, I text him back. I said, okay, I'm slowing down. My apologies. I'll tell you at the rest stop. So he's like, are we stopping soon? I said, no. I said, we got 2 more hours before we stop. So he's like, all right, you don't want to talk about it now? I was like, no, I don't want to talk about it now. I'm in the car with your Nana. Not that he doesn't know that I'm in the car with her, but I'm like, no, I don't want to talk about it now. So she's on the phone with her. They're going back and forth. I'm like, hang up the phone. We're not turning around. We're already into this trip. I have to be somewhere at a specific time. Hang the phone up. Oh, what's the word? I said, I will tell you this. If she calls the cops and we get stopped in another state, I'm gonna beat the brakes off her when I get back. I said, I tell you no lie. It's happening. And ain't nothing you can do to make it not happen. Because now we're like, by then we were at the end of Maryland. We're getting ready to hit West Virginia. I said, do you know that she called the cops and said we kidnapped her kid? How many states we have to go through? I said, yeah, we don't. I said, I wish an Amber Alert would come up. I wish it would. I wish. I wish. No. No, she's like, she's not going to do nothing. She just saying it. I said, today might be the day that she decided she's going to press her luck. So hour 3 has shown up. We stop at the rest stop. Go inside, do what I got to do. My mom had never been to a sheet, so I was like, I know she's gonna take a few minutes, so I'm gonna let her take it all in while I do everything I need to do, make whatever phone calls, let my daughter know, you know, how like where I am in the trip. Although she has my location, has checked it several times, so she knows where I am. And then I talked to my son and his wife, and I'm like, this is what's going on. They're instantly just as pissed as I am, and they're like, maybe you should have rethought this trip. And I'm like, maybe you should shut up before I punch you in the eye. I was like, all right, so everybody, get what you're gonna get. We're gonna get back in the car. We're gonna head out. So we get back in the car. Now we're in the last 3 legs. So my mom was like, this is a long trip. And I was like, I tried to tell you, like all those times I was taking this trip by myself, this was the trip. It's 6 solid hours there and 6 solid back. So she's like, oh. So I can see that she's pondering in her mind because there have been a few times I invited my mom to ride with me, and she's like, "Oh, well, I can't because I'm doing this. I can't because I'm doing that. Well, you think the Maya want to get on the train? I can get her a train ticket." And it's like, no, I already committed to the drive because by that time, she's packing stuff to send home because it was before graduation. And I'm like, no, it's fine. I can just take the drive by myself. I'll call you or whoever. So, graduation, we get to the hotel. We get to the hotel. I didn't know they were doing some renovations. This is a brand new hotel. They're still like fixing some stuff. So my mom is like, are you sure I can have my dog in this hotel? I'm like, I took care of everything that I need to take care of. Well, it don't say that it's pet friendly. I said, well, it's too late now. We're here. So what you gonna do? Well, I can find somewhere else to say, that's what you're not gonna do on graduation weekend. You're not gonna be able to find nowhere else to stay because everybody is booked up. And if you do find some place to stay, you're gonna pay. Oh, well, I got money. I just put it on my credit card. That's her favorite thing. I put it on my credit card. Mom, is fine. They know that you're gonna have a dog in your room. We set it all up. We're on the same floor. We're 2 rooms apart. So why you don't get my room right next to your room? Because I make noise in my room. That's why. I said it's gonna be 6 of us in my room. Well, how come the married couple didn't get their own room? Because we plan to be together. I said, I don't think you understand. For me and my kids, we generally like to be together. And if we're in a tight space, it's fine because we're going to make it work. They're going to have a bed. I'm definitely going to have a bed. We always make sure that there's a pull-out couch. So whoever has the pull-out couch, whoever gets the luck of the draw, you got some place to stay. And generally, we don't stay in the rooms. The hotel room is for sleeping. After that, after we are rejuvenated, we hit the streets. So she was like, all right. I think at some point during our weekend stay, she was like, well, I thought I was going to be able to spend more time with you. I said, Mom, how is you going to spend more time with me and my daughter's graduating? The two things can't go together right now. We will spend some time, but we're not going to spend a lot of time because I already told you we have to pack her entire room. She was like, well, yeah, she got a small room. She got a small room with a lot of shit in it. She got pictures on the wall. She got LED lights on the wall. We got to be careful on how we pull them down because they make us pay for the paint. I said, there's things that, me and my husband have to do as parents. It's no reflection on you. As parents, we're partners. Well, why can't he just go do it himself? I just got finished telling you that we're partners, right? I just literally said it. Well, I don't understand why he always have to be where you're at. My husband don't be everywhere I'm at. That's you and your husband and your relationship. My relationship is different. How you know I don't like it? How you don't know he makes me feel comfortable? It's not about you. It's about my comfort level. Not you. Me. So I'm like, okay, well, this is whatever. So I'm like telling her, like, well, we got to pack her room. She's got to get her hair done before graduation because that's the thing. It's a girl. She wants her hair done. I would too. I got to go over and check and make sure she got everything she needs for graduation, as well as let her know where I'm going to be for graduation. Because she's leaving, she's going to stay on campus. We're going to stay at the hotel. and we want to make sure that we're there at a specific time so we got some place to sit, because I don't want to be sitting way back and I can't see nothing. I'm little. Then it rained. To add insult to injury, it rained on her graduation day. So my mom was like, "Oh, it's cold out here. I'm getting wet. Ain't nowhere we could go. No, we can't go in the sit in the building. No, the graduation is outside." So I'm like, "There's nothing I could do for you. Like, I'm not Mother Nature. It's nothing I can do. I could offer you this umbrella that I'm not using, because at this point it's like, why hold the umbrella? I'm gonna get wet. She's wet." So it's like, okay. So now graduation has taken place. She's walked the stage. Now everybody's like, "Well, let's go." Where are we going? Because I still have to go to her room so I can start putting some of the stuff in the car so we can start situating who's doing what. So then we were going to go out to eat. Well, we couldn't go to the place we were going to go to eat because we realized we got a dog. That's not going to work. So now we can't eat there. So we had to choose a place where either we could take out, like order and take out, or some of us would eat inside, some of us would be outside. But then it's like, that's dumb. So let's get takeout and we'll eat it at the hotel. Not realizing, like, for my daughter, it's kind of like she was a little bit robbed, because we was gonna paint the town. This was gonna be the last time we were coming to Roanoke, and we was gonna do it big. We didn't get to do any of the stuff we said we were gonna do. And then me and her had a conversation. I was like, "Look, all that's going on, I don't want you to think about any of that." I thought it was important, and I said, "Scratch that. It is important that your Nana gets to be here to see you walk." I said, "As much as it is for me and your dad to see you walk," I said, "it's also important for her to see all the stuff that she knew that I was doing or didn't know I was doing. It all paid off. And I didn't have to ask nobody to do anything." I said, none of her money funded your education. Even for the people who said we wasn't going to be able to do it, we did it. We did it. They didn't. And we got through it. It was some tough days. It was some tough days ahead. There are some things that, took place obviously at home that you didn't need to know about. I said, but all in all, we did it. We proved the people wrong. All the naysayers got proved wrong. And look at us. We still standing. For every situation that came up, I had a stroke 2 years into Namaya's graduation, her sophomore year. And looking back, I was like, I probably should have sent for her to come home. But I was like, oh, she didn't seem like she wanted to come home, because she would have said it. But I'm like, no, I should have just made her come home just so that she could take that all in and then process it, and then she could do what she needed to do. So her sophomore year was shitty based on my merit. And I was like, you know what, Namaya? It's okay. We all have shitty times. It's okay. I'm not mad at you. I said, shit, I was having a shitty time. I didn't know if I wanted to go to work or not. I said, there's a lot of things that was going on. I wasn't sleeping. I was afraid to go to sleep. Um, and of course, you have every doctor's appointment known to man after that. You have to go everywhere. And it's like, but I feel okay. And it's like, oh, no, no, no. We just want to make sure, because the goal is, if you have a mini stroke or stroke, the goal is to remain stroke free for the after you've had it, to be stroke free at least for 1 year total. And it's like, once you make it through that window, they're like, yeah, you should never have a stroke again. I don't believe that shit. Because something might tick you off, and now look at you. But I'm like, okay, so I made it through that time period. 2 years out, 2 years from when it happened. So it's like, okay, but you still have residual effects depending on what kind of stroke you have. So it's like, all right, if I don't feel well, I'll go to the emergency room. I don't care how many times I gotta go, I'm going. Y'all gonna figure it out. Because I'm gonna be up in here. Y'all gonna know me well. But I make sure that, those appointments are scheduled And I make sure that when I go, I am honest about how I feel instead of feeling like, old black lady syndrome. Everything's good. I'm okay. Nope. My pinky on my right foot, it don't bend like it used to bend. You want to look at it? It's like I make sure now if my eyeball, if I feel like my eyelid ain't closing the way it used to close, we need to find out why that is. Because it's not doing eyeball thing. Because you don't know. I think it's different when you meet a person, and it's like I was just telling my husband this the other day. You meet people, and they're representative. The representative appears to have everything together. They got everything. They look good on the outside. They smell good. They got a nice car. They live in a nice place, or maybe not a nice place, but you've been in their home, and their home is together, and it feels like love. But you don't know. Oh my God, this person was a crackhead, or oh my God, this person got accused of murder, but really didn't do the murder, or this person was homeless, or this young lady might have been it might have been a sexual assault that maybe she's not talking about. You just Everybody got something, even if it's not so traumatizing, but it's like some people don't deal well, or they don't have those outlets or people that they trust enough to say, these are the bags that I carry with me every day. It's like the Erica Darren will tell you, I used to play that song all the time. And he would come and be like, every time you play that song, the Erica Badu Bag Lady, he's like, it just makes me so tired. And I asked him, I said, why does it make you tired? He was like, because the verse says, you know, you're so tired because you have so much stuff. Although she's talking about it, her things, and you're gonna hurt your back. You're gonna hurt your back because you're carrying all these bags. But I'm like, so I had to tell him, I said, well, that's real life. I said, women carry more bags than anybody because you got your family on your back, you got your kids on your back if you got kids, or if you got a mate, you got work, you got, your health. I said, so now in this day that we live in, health has become a big thing like it used to be back in the day. So now you're worried about your health. Now you're worried about everything. And if you don't have an outlet or a person that you can talk to, you will have a stroke. So my kids was comparing when I was in the social club versus me not being in a social club now. And they were like, we felt like you were more healthier because you were line dancing all the time. And you seem to be enjoying yourself. And it's like when you stopped all that, you had the stroke. I was like, yeah, because I don't got shit to do. Like I have stuff to do, but it's not as fun as what that was. So I wasn't stressed because I'm releasing that stress, just doing me. I'm having the time of my life. I traveled. I met cool people. I networked the hell out of folks, but it was a great time. And it's like when you stop doing all of that stuff and you're just sitting around. When you're just sitting around, you don't have no choice but to think about bills, work, you know, stuff you might have seen on TV. I said I don't watch the news on purpose because ain't nothing nice happening on the news, especially the Philadelphia news. If they're not getting ran over, shot, and stabbed all in one day, that's too much. That is too much to carry all day long. I would say coloring, blowing bubbles, journaling. I really had to tap into my Karen side to find some new ways to help me to be calm rather than coming home and like spewing it like hot lava. Thank you. I did. I be trying to hold it back, but I know that I'm a soft, sensitive thug. So sometimes my thug tears, yeah, my thug passion be coming through. But don't take them tears for sure though, because I still like 10 toes down. I will bop you. Soon as I freshen up, right? Soon as I freshen up, get them tears together. But yeah. Bye.